The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico de Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning. I'm Nico de Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and our freedoms. Good morning. I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, 62 degrees and sunny, and it's going to be for the next couple of weeks in the 70s.
This is a nice weather time for us. We like it. Hey, so make sure you subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter. This is news you can use twice a month, $10 a month, gets it right in your inbox with great clickable links to invaluable resources so you can stay healthier and wealthier.
That's for sure, and pick up some Primal Edge. Over 310 cell-ready ingredients will get you healthy, and it's all powered by humic and fulvic acid to get the good stuff in
and get the bad stuff out. And we're taking your phone calls.
Yes, 877-927-6648. So before we start the show, Paige, I want to tell people that we have a special guest coming up. My partner here reached out to David Dubine from Adapt 2030. He's coming on our show by way of Skype from China.
That's right, guys. Make sure you're listening in on Thursday. I've been having some great conversations with David about the coming grand solar minimum and the consequent food shortages and the expense of foods. Want to get you in the loop on what he sees, what's going on, and how trading using the blockchain and cryptocurrencies may actually help us survive. This is something you don't want to miss. David is a wealth of information, delightful guy. Tune in with us on Thursday.
Yeah, you know, I got a hold of David through the Suspicious Observer with Ben Davidson, and he often comes on to this show called Fly on the Wall, where they have about 7 or 8 scientists, and they're just chatting for an hour, and I listen to that on Sunday morning. They do that on Saturday mornings. So I think his site has been up for a couple of years. I've been following from day one. He's one of the Suspicious Observers also. So wealth of information about 2 particular subjects that are dear to our heart. One is being the grand solar minimum, and the other one being bitcoins, and using that through the grand solar minimum because the other currencies may be failing.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is, as David has been explaining, is as food becomes scarce, people aren't going to want to ship food and not know whether or not the money is going to be there. And the blockchain and the smart contracts, really, and the whole cryptocurrency, Bitcoin being one coin in cryptocurrency. But some exciting things going. David's going to explain to us how he is being an advisor to a company that's called Ancoris, and it's going to be a nice bridge between cryptocurrency and traditional trading. You traders out there, you want to learn. Don't be in the dark ages. You got to be up on the cutting edge. You got to be knowing what's an option. May or may not be for you, but you want to see what's going on.
Yep. So stick around for that on Thursday, and that's going to be a great show.
That's right.
So today I wanted to really talk about something else, and let me see if I can get it up here. You know, I found this business site, which is kind of cool, talking about food on business sites, and they're talking about, get it up here, I can get it. Mouse is not cooperating tomorrow. Why eating fat won't make you fat. And we've, of course, been talking about this for years on ours, but it's nice to see on a business site. And this is
Business Insider.
Yeah, businessinsider.com. He says, dozens of scientific studies suggest that eating fat is not linked to weight gain. So.
Yeah, well, I think we want to keep hearing this same news. It makes us feel good, doesn't it? And dozens of scientists and studies suggest that eating fat isn't linked to the weight gain. And a pediatrician and professor of pediatrics always seems to feel good when it comes from mainstream, although I feel like they're kind of late to the party. So he says it's perfectly okay to eat buttercream, nuts, and avocados.
Yeah, instead of eating low-fat products, he suggests that eat less sugar, which studies have shown to linked to weight gain and obesity and probably all the other diseases that are modern to our civilization.
You know, it's really interesting when you see that word sugar. You know, kind of, I've been banting back with Peatitarian concepts, you know, the brilliant work of Ray Peat. And, you know, again, the sugar, what do we mean by the sugar? And is it really sucrose or the table sugar that's so bad, or is it the undigestible grains that turn to sugar and are very difficult for our digestive systems? I think it's very interesting. One night I was in a restaurant, and this guy was he was a waiter, and he was very friendly and outgoing, and we started talking, and he said, well, you wouldn't know, but I've lost 150 pounds.
Wow.
And you really wouldn't have known. His skin looked great. You would have had no clue.
Okay.
And basically, you know what he told me?
What?
He eats protein and candy.
Really?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So he got amino acids and simple sugars for energy. And he was doing great. So again, in proteins, he got the natural fat that was in it, but he was, and you know, he had that look on his face like, I know something, you know.
That you don't.
Yeah, I've done the research, and I was really found it quite shocking to hear that he ate the candy, and I thought that was interesting. But
we are starting to learn that some of the sugars aren't quite as bad as some of those processed wheats and grains that come from seeds, because not only do you get the spike from the sugar, and sugar certainly will spike your insulin, so that's not good, but balancing it out, it's kind of like the philosophy that I have with alcohol and eating Primal. When you eat Primal and you have a little bit of alcohol, the alcohol serves as a medication, as a little shock to the system to get your immune system kind of kick-started. Of course, overdoing that is going to have the opposite effect, but having a little candy with your meat isn't as bad as having cereal with your meat, let's say.
Well, that's kind of what I get from Ray. The inflammatory grains and stuff are almost worse than the pure sucrose that's going to have its effect and then it's going to go away.
Go away fast.
And so that's kind of an interesting thing, and I think that's where a lot of Ray Peat's metabolic issue knowledge comes in.
Right.
So many people have kind of taken the fat and fear of any carbs to a point that they're actually sometimes experiencing metabolic slowdown, which may or may not be such a good thing.
Well, remember, if we're eating a real processed, then the most processed food that I think of always is cereal. And what we do with that cereal is we add non-fat milk to it, and then we add sugar to it, or honey, or something like that. So you're just putting one thing on top of the other that isn't good, but just the sugar alone, yeah, it's going to spike your sugar, but it goes away pretty fast, so you can get on with your life. So that's probably why honey impacts us completely different than some of the other sweetnesses do.
Well, there's so many other nutrients in the honey that's makes it.
So let's get back to this, and then this is kind of in mainstream. He says the evidence lies in studies that have compared people on a low-fat diet and low-fat, high-carb diet and people on low-carb and high-fat. And time again, research shows that the low-carb, high-fat doesn't give you the problems that the other does.
Well, there you go. So we've got more information for you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. News you can use.
Stick around. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. So the bottom line in this subject here, the evidence is in favor of low-fat diet being very thin, whereas the evidence for the benefits of certain fats is mounting. So fat is essential for blood clotting, muscle movement. It's a requirement or a required ingredient for building cell membranes. What we always talk about, those membranes are so important, as well as their protective shields around your nerves. So fat helps us absorb certain vitamins and minerals that we need with our foods. So just think about this, folks. It's a shield around your nerves. What kind of problems are we having with the nerves in our brain and everything like that? Alzheimer's, dementia,
ADHD with the children, because they're. You and I used to share this with our listeners that if you don't make good cell membranes, it's like having saran wrap on the cell, and the membrane then can't get the good stuff in and the bad stuff out, and that's why it's really important to kind of detoxify those membranes so we can really get good stuff into the cells.
Yeah. The other thing is when you're not eating fat, we tend to eat more refined carbs and sugar.
And that's the key word.
That's
refined.
Right. Refined.
And again, I think we don't want to get to the point where we're insinuating that all carbs are necessarily bad. And for some people, at some times in their lives, using them in their diet can be a great thing.
Sure.
With energy, you know, it might help them, but you know, we really need to look at the source of these carbohydrates. And many of the ones that most people are subsisting on. I've been in the grocery store and I've seen carts with little mamas, and I'm like, where's the real food?
Yeah.
You know, where's the real food? And they just don't know. You know, that gets my heart. I would love to just be able to spend the time giving free classes to mamas, you know, and just helping them.
Yeah.
You know, and helping them get.
Well, here's a little article.
Choices.
We just switch over here. Here's what fruits and vegetables looked like before we domesticated them. So this is a picture of a watermelon. Not a lot of red there.
But
and this is what they look today.
Wait, look at that. Could I take that back? All right, look at that picture. All right,
Very little sugar. The sugar is the red part.
My Qigong teacher always said there's magic in the white stuff.
In the white stuff, yeah.
The white is where many of the phytochemicals that we have yet to name hide their magic wonders, you know?
Exactly.
You could even say that even on a marijuana plant, all that white stuff, you know, people always look at it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where probably a lot of the THC.
Here's a wild banana. Looks a lot different, has seeds in it. Of course, this is today's banana. You can see that they were first cultivated about 7,000 years ago, maybe as early as 10,000 years ago. modern bananas came from two wild different species.
That's very interesting. Show us some more, Nico.
So this is
that
a
the-
wild eggplant. Looks more like an orange.
It sure does. You
Yeah.
wouldn't even think that was an eggplant.
Throughout history, eggplant has become a wide era of shapes and colors such as white, azure, purple, and yellow. These are the ones cultivated, and this is what they look like today.
Mm-hmm.
So quite a bit of difference. The
And
wild,
the wild
carrot,
carrot
of course.
was really a root.
Yeah.
It didn't have the pigmentation.
And the pigmentation is where the sugar is, so we've cultivated to add sugar to it. So, you know, things have changed. That's my whole point with this article here, and with the other articles. Things are also changing. To see this in a business magazine is encouraging to me, because we want our investors to be healthy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They're starting to get some information about food.
Yeah.
And speaking of about food,
Yeah.
you know, as we're going to get back to some of the content we'll be discussing with Dave Dubine of Adapt 2030, what he explains investors is that the food prices are going to double, triple, quadruple as we enter this grand solar minimum. And it's going to be a rather quick descent into this grand solar minimum from
It
what
appears
experts
so.
are saying.
You wouldn't know it from the weather today, but I mean, that the weather and
But we're looking at it
climate
from
might
right
be
here,
different. Yep.
you know.
Another one more I wanted to show you was the wild corn, which doesn't look like corn at all. Of course,
That's
this is
amazing.
today's corn. So things have really changed here, and they're about to change with the grand solar minimum, like you were saying. But
we may not have the ability to produce the food that we've produced in the quantities, and we're not going to have the climate to produce these foods. So there is going to be some changes in where we're growing food, maybe a turn into harvesting foods indoors, but it's really going to be in the finance market where we're going to see these big changes.
Yeah.
And David's going to really lighten up our brains
You're
on
getting
that.
excited about this, aren't you?
I am. Oh,
That's
yeah. I've
good.
had a chance to talk with him. It's neat because it's really a good time. For him, it's like 7 o'clock in the evening.
For him, yeah, because he's 12 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I'm excited to have him on.
Yeah, good. Okay, I wanted to go to another article now, which is talking about, let me see if I can find it here. Can you turn fat into muscle?
Well,
So
I'm
this is one of the same things that we've been talking about with, you know, these are kind of memes. You know, if you want to replace the fat, you want muscle naturally. But the fat and muscle are two completely different.
They're two physiologically different tissues, and that's
Right.
not going to happen. What you can do is allow the physiology of your body to change,
Right.
and you can replace the mass, you know, dissolve the fat,
Dissolve the fat and build the muscle.
and build the muscle. So
Right.
yeah, you're not going to turn it in. You're not going to tone it up. You're not going to take your fat and make it a firm substance. You're going to make it feel firmer by losing and burning the fat as, you know, a metabolic
Yeah, it says
energy
the best
burner.
analogy I can use, the author says here, you cannot turn an orange into an apple. To lose weight, to lose fat, you need to lose weight, he says, and losing weight requires burning more calories than you consume. That seems like the normal type of thing. However, we've discussed many times on the show that you can shut off your fat burning by eating carbohydrates. And that
I
has to
think
do with
I
yesterday.
think we need to be more fair and say we can turn off our fat burning by eating too much fat too. I mean, I think it really is a
Or
matter
too much
of
protein, rather.
or too much protein, as we know, it changes into and can be stored as body fat. I think when we eat too much for the amount of output we're doing, our movements,
That is the key,
then I
isn't it?
think it really comes down to it can show up, and based on the food composition that you're eating is going to be how you're going to store it.
Yeah, and a lot of this has to do with the cravings and things like this. Of course, we just been through Thanksgiving. So I was at a meal with maybe a dozen people, and a lot of them were just so excited because all year they haven't been eating their mashed potatoes, and today is the day they're going to eat their mashed potatoes or whatever favorite food that you have. And that's exactly what happened. We saw at the table people going back for seconds for the mashed potatoes, for the stuffing and things like that you normally wouldn't eat. I didn't have any of those cravings. I stuck just to the meat, and there was a lot of different meats there. It was kind of a buffet style, and it was all delicious. It always blows my mind how they can make this stuff taste so good, and when you're at maybe 500 people in this place, and
Right.
they're just keep
Where
putting
did you
this
guys
food out.
go? You didn't
It was
tell
the club.
Oh, you went to the club?
Yeah,
Oh,
the club in
yeah.
Bel Air. So the food was fabulous, but I saw the people loading up and then sitting back later on going, oh my goodness, you know. And I didn't really have that problem. My wife and I felt so good afterwards, and of course, eating at the club is kind of nice because then you go home and there's no dishes, nothing like that. It almost, in a sense, didn't feel like Thanksgiving because of that, you know. But it was just such a nice time, spent time with some friends and family there, and that was really nice. But the craving is really what gets the people, and then you're on this roller coaster because the holidays are just beginning now. So this is going to come up more and more. We're going to have office parties. We're going to have all these different things that are in front of us. Folks, if you stick to the good proteins, add a little fat to it, you'll be satisfied. You won't have those other cravings. That's the whole point of this.
That sounds good stuff. We'll be right
Stick
back.
around,
We're
folks.
gonna take a break.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back. A new study in Smithsonian says you should stay away from sharp objects at night, and why wounds heal faster during the day than night. Here again, we see the power of circadian rhythm, Nico.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. So whether you slice your finger while cutting an apple or chopping veggies, it doesn't seem to matter much. Either way, even if it's a painful experience, there's a new study that says when you cut yourself matters as far as how the healing process proceeds.
Yeah, most conventional thinking has always been, and I always thought this too, when you're resting, this is when things heal faster. It's actually not the case.
Even though that's a time of healing for the body, what we now know is that that's really when the blood goes to the internal organs, but there's seems to be a recording as to when this injury happened from a standpoint of time clock.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So
It's
you have
very interesting.
if you get injured at night or get injured during the day, the healing is going to be different for those things.
So to better understand these rhythms, Nathan Hoyle and his team at the Laboratory of Molecular Biology in Cambridge took a close look at the fibroblasts involved in healing. And while studying how proteins produce the cells varied throughout the day, they discovered that proteins important to healing were most abundant when the sun was up. So to test if difference in activity had an impact on the wound healing, the team turned to wounded cells in a petri dish and they measured the rates of healing at different times of the day and discovered that indeed wounds heal faster during the daytime.
Yeah,
and you know, like I said, think about that too. Majority of wounds being on peripheral, arms, legs, perhaps. We know that when we sleep, if we're sleeping and getting into the right circadian cycles when we're sleeping, our blood, because we're not walking, we don't need peripheral blood flow. So the blood kind of pools back into the organs, flushing that liver, the kidneys, the stomach, you know, working on the brain.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that might also be part of the signaling that's happening.
I'm thinking from an evolutionary standpoint, since we, in primitive times, certainly we slept at night, not during the day as much. So that means we weren't as active as night, which means the chance of getting hurt wasn't as great, so that means that we don't need as much healing then. It makes sense that when you're active, everything is working, you know, so if you're getting hurt during the day.
And the blood is pumping through your extremities, so a wound on your finger is going to get more blood flow during the day because you're moving. When you're sleeping, it goes away. This is what he says. You can see by eye when the cell is wounded only 8 hours apart from each other, there is a different circadian phase. The daytime wound takes off and the nighttime wound drags.
Yeah, and this maybe have to do with some evolutionary path too, as far as being hunter and gatherers. We moved during the day, and it's very important that if we get injured, we can still move, and the healing takes place during that time. So when we're resting, then the rest of the body's getting ready to do it again when you wake up. So the rejuvenation in your body is really taking place at night, so it can help the wounds during the day. That's kind of the way I see that. What do you think?
So, well, here's what some of the scientists say is going on. He explains that for many decades, researchers thought it was the circadian clock, or the body's master clock, which is located in the hypothalamus. That was the only thing that received signals about daytime and nighttime through visual cues. As we know from following Dr. Jack Kruse, this isn't true. Our eyes are visual, our organs and our retinas are very important in getting these nighttime. Our skin, we literally are absorbing the UVA, the light spectrum sends signals to what's going on. So that clock that determines circadian rhythm, which controls things like sleep and waking and digestion, hunger and the release of hormones. These team of researchers won this year's Nobel Prize for figuring out just how that process occurs on the molecular level.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine, Rick, that I play music with. He often said, and he was a PA, and he was in the medical profession, which to this doesn't mean a thing, but he always had this thing where he says, when I'm not feeling well, I go home at lunchtime and I sit in the sun for 30 minutes. And he says, just that. He says, I strip off my clothes, go in the backyard and just lay in the sun, and he says, this will help me heal. So
it's exactly
just
true.
Something that you feel, and something that seems to be true here.
Most of the groups that I'm hanging out with on Facebook and so forth are people who are biohacking and mitochondriacs and Dr. Jack Kruse, and realizing that the sun and the signals of nature, the cold thermogenesis, the sun time, the fresh air. I'm really had an interesting exchange. I'm going to share it probably next week with a company that talks about the healing benefits of carbon dioxide, and they make a carbon dioxide bath. It's like and even skincare products, you know, that use. You know, Ray Peat had always said, when the stress levels are high, we lose carbon dioxide to brown paper bag breathe.
Yeah.
You know?
And of course, this is what the Iceman uses too, the carbon dioxide in your body. It says here, the clock determines all your rhythms. It said that, and Where was I? What's going on here? Lost my place. So in recent years, researchers have discovered other parts of the body have their own independent clocks, including the lungs and the liver cells. Turns out fibroblasts keep their own time as well, though researchers aren't sure exactly how the cells synchronize with the outside world.
I studied with Dr. Teresa Dale, and a lot of our work in our neuroendocrine and anti-aging body regulation is based on the circadian body clock, and exactly the lung, the livers, the stomach, small intestine, all of our gallbladder, liver, all have a certain time frame of which is where they're doing the majority of their repair. They also have certain emotions that interfere with them performing well, that if these emotions are active or stored, they can interfere with that organ's
because when they're released, that's when they interfere with it.
Well, the liver is the place of anger. Gallbladder is frustration. Well, those two go together. So when emotions of frustration and anger are not dealt with properly, they can inhibit the liver and the gallbladder from doing what they're doing. So if you can work to figure out where and why are you holding on to this anger.
This is why a lot of people who have been abused and things like that, they hold on to those things in those organs, and then they're with them for the rest of their lives, and they have a burden that they're carrying, and it's hard to get rid of those things, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. The emotional, almost all disease that manifests in the body has an emotional, mind, body, spiritual component before it actually manifests in the body.
Yeah.
But really, this research adds to the accumulating evidence that time of day or circadian rhythmicity matters in medicine. And the question is how we can make use of this knowledge and whether it can change clinical practice and help patients. Well, this is great. Again, we're glad to see mainstream articles like Smithsonian repeating what those in the naturopathic world have known, or the traditional Chinese medicine world have known for years. I love it when they make it sound like it's, you know,
something new.
Something new, but really everything new is actually just something old.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the philosophies of the East are the whole body and the earth and everything together, where we piece things independently. We don't need this, we might need that, and we're not sure how this works, but everything does work in unison, and that's, I think, the key to being healthy is to understanding that we're a living, breathing entity here that needs to be free of all these poisons and things, whether they're poisons of the mind, poison of the stomach, or the intestines, or just the atmosphere and the environment that we have around us. So we need clean living. That's what, that makes sense to me, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We've got more news you can use.
And in the meantime, please pick up the Primal Edge. Our one-shot wonder. You need this to stay healthy during the holidays and all throughout the year. So $89 gets to your door every single month. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
It's that time of year again. The TFNN Salvation Army Tiger Dollar Holiday Sale is back. Through this Sunday only, you can get a 25% bonus on any Tiger Dollar purchase, and up to 10% of whatever you spend will be donated to the Salvation Army in your name. This sale only comes around once a year and is one of the most rewarding promotions we have. Tiger Dollars are a great way to add extra savings to any TFNN product or service. Whether you're considering signing up for any newsletter or workshop in the future, or you're already a subscriber, Tiger Dollars offer an immediate savings on any TFNN newsletter, webinar, workshop, or Master Trader series. And they never expire and are fully transferable to friends and family. For all the details and to take part in this special promotion, visit the front page of TFNN.com before this sale ends Sunday, December 3rd. And happy holidays from TFNN. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. I got another article here from Financial Times called "The Silicon Valley Sets Its Sight on Disrupting the Meat Industry." And this was brought to light by Nora DeGaddis.
Yeah, it's actually Nora's article. She just was citing that Financial Times.
That's what I'm saying.
And, I mean, okay. No, you said you had the article. I just.
Yeah, I went into this article from a financial perspective, and Nora really, brought it to light for me, because Bill Gates is really behind this whole thing of wanting the United States to go into the changing our perception of what meat really is.
Why can't he just stick to computers? He's got to start. I always take a look at Bill Gates, and he's worried about the children all around the world. Well, why don't you send them water and food, and actually send them real meat?
Yeah.
Right.
So is Bill Gates and his Silicon...
Watch what they do, not what they say.
That's right. So they have multinational corporate interests have their sights set on replacing real meat with what they explicitly term plant-based meats in the diets of Americans.
And if you happen to be reading this from Australia, New Zealand, or the UK, or China, or any place else, and think all this is meant to stop with America, then guess again.
That's right.
Stop and think about all those movies that came out this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Sort of shaming people for animal husbandry,
despite
the fact that the evidence is clear we're omnivores. Again, a lot to get in a fight about it.
Yeah.
Let's just try and look at what's actually happening.
So, Bill Gates has basically secured the national U.S. distribution rights for veggie burgers made from wheat and soy, of course, as part of a concerted effort to replace real meat with the diet of the Americans, just for starters, with fake meat made from substances humans were never meant to eat in the first place. And that's the point. They're saying this is from veggies, but it's really not from veggies. They're talking about from soy, from wheat. These aren't veggies. When I heard a commercial this morning. They were talking about eat your vegetables, and it was a ragu commercial. Mm-hmm. And that's pasta.
Right. Well, ragu is actually tomato sauce.
Well, that's a fruit.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
It's not important, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's amazing what they categorize as real food. But this is interesting in light of what we're going to learn from Dave Dubine of Adapt 2030, where he says the prices of wheat, soy, and corn, the staples feeding foodstuffs of the world, are going to skyrocket. What's Bill Gates know about it? Is he involved in the futures of all this stuff? Well, how's he going to benefit if he has basically secured the national U.S. distribution rights for veggie burgers? Yeah. Yes, let's think about what he's got going on. So, as Nora says, it's easy to sit back and laugh about this, but we need to take this information very, very seriously. So efforts on parts from these sources, Bill Gates et al., who are all essentially using vegetarian and vegan fundamentalist extremists as their mouthpieces through a series of well-funded, ill-conceived, and scientifically devoid documentaries. We think about some of these ones that we featured recently.
Yeah. So he said that this is what they're going to be investing in is they want every woman, man, and child consuming a carbohydrate-based, especially grain and legume-based diet. It's cheap, it's easy to produce, almost immeasurably profitable, and there's no way you can make a 5,000% profit on grass-fed meat. There's no way you can do that, but you can with a box of cereal. You can with these fake meats, and this is what it's all about. It has nothing to do with health. It has nothing to do with food distribution. It has to do with the profitability of these companies. They want these higher profits. It doesn't make sense for them to make just out of every dollar make 50 cents when you can make 99 cents.
Well, as Nora says, it's cheap and easy to produce, almost immeasurably profitable. There's no way you can make a 5,000% profit on a grass-fed steak like you can a box of cereal. And it keeps whoever happens to be eating a diet like this more or less perpetually hungry. How fabulous for Bill Gates and Monsanto. Well, Monsanto and the rest of the big agribusiness, big oil, the food industry, biotech, etc., Jenny Craig, the Undertaker industry, and likely a few others.
The Undertaker industry.
Yeah, I know,
like
I saw that. You know, that show that she's a featured speaker in. Remember we showed the clip for it?
You're talking about In Search of the Perfect Human Diet? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, we showed it last show. I can't, the name of it escapes me. It was the... we showed the trailer, but that's...
Oh, yeah, the new one coming up.
Yeah, Nora's featured in that movie. So
What the Health Conspiracy?
No, What the Health is the one that was the one.
And Forks Over Knives was another one of those. There's a lot of them coming around. I mean,
well, these are the ones that we're really focusing on trying to move us away from a meat-based diet or animal-based diet.
There's our pal right there.
He's not my pal.
I was being facetious.
Yeah.
This is the projection plant-based meat market to reach $5.2 billion by 2020. And this might happen, folks, because, you know, if we're going into a grand solar minimum, and it's probably going to hit by 2020, we're going to be really trying to get food from everywhere. And,
and this is what I can't wait to talk to David about on Thursday is, okay, yeah, these are going to reach. Are they going to reach because we're steering people in this direction? But when we know that these foodstuffs are going to be in short supply, quadruple the price for you commodities changers.
That is the key.
But really,
right
you know, you and I could say, well, we prefer to get our protein sources from animal-based versus plant-based. Well, what's David saying? Is there not going to be the space to grow the animals? That's the concern. When we have things above the, say, you know, 60th latitude, it escapes me, but New York and over parts of Canada are going to be underneath sheets of ice.
Well, I don't
parts
know.
Of
the
Europe.
grand solar minimum may not bring a full-fledged ice age. It may be we'll have some summers that don't have, you know, that will have snow and things like that. But I don't see anybody projecting the big ice age coming. Although who knows? You know, let's ask David about that. I see 20 years of tough times. I don't see an ice age of 1,000 years.
No, 20 years of tough times of more expensive food.
More expensive food, food that's not available anymore, and I think the meats are going to be the first thing that leaves. And this is going to drive part of that.
And this is why these big investors are putting their monies into the food stuff.
Yeah,
so.
it's easy. It's a profitable system. It's not going to be profitable to raise cattle in the grand solar minimum when it's so cold outside. The animals need to be heated. How are you going to heat these animals? It's going to be a time when animals die. It's going to be tough on the growing season, too, just on the grains and everything. So everything's going to get displaced. There's going to be, instead of the 10 regions of the earth where we now grow a lot of food, there might only be 4. You know, that Midwest might be completely gone. And all we have is the South.
Let's go ahead and finish up what Nora says, because she's so powerful. You know what? She doesn't have any holes barred. I love her.
I love her, too.
And she says, the new entrepreneurial effort on the part of Bill Gates in Silicon Valley has literally nothing whatsoever to do with altruism or your well-being. It is about power, it's about economic interest, and taking complete control over the food supply. In short, the implications of all this are cataclysmic for not only human health, but the health of the entire planet. The goal is to feed us like livestock, so that we can then in turn be treated like livestock. We are in effect being led to our own slaughter. I know these are are strong words, but the implications of all of these are crystal clear for anyone with eyes to see and more than 2 neurons in their heads holding hands. Hey, just tell it like it is, Nora.
Yeah.
So, you know, in an effort to set the record straight after we had a lot of these really false, misleading movies, What the Health and so forth, and Forks Over Knives and Cowspiracy, she's producing this new movie. She's calling it Dispelling the Lies, but that's not what the title was last week, but I saw her there. It's an important point to help dispel the misinformation. But we're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Welcome back. Nico and I are excited that we're going to have Dave Dubine from Adapt 2030 onto our show on Thursday. And I wanted to kind of highlight a couple of things. He wrote a recent article that was published in Medium. And, you know, he says that there's 7 deadly economic sins, and he sees cryptocurrency and Bitcoin as being in the futures that'll be beginning around December 11th with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, a CME. Bitcoin futures will be available as an opportunity for us to save ourselves. Let's dive down and learn, get a little highlight before he comes in on Thursday, because as we stand in the current world economy, suffocating and on its last breath, we face 3 choices to resolve the global liquidity crisis.
A debt jubilee is number 1.
A global war.
Yeah, or
some of the guys
futures.
want that.
So he's
or
thinking
Bitcoin futures. He
these
thinks
3 choices.
He sees three choices: a debt jubilee, a global war, or Bitcoin futures. So let's talk a little bit. He'll give us more information. I think you guys really want to tune in. His choice is Bitcoin futures. I agree with him. Out of those 3, there really doesn't seem to be something. You know, it's not to say that Bitcoin was created and released at a particular time for this exact end result, but for sure, central banks are taking advantage of it to solve multiple problems. So let's go over the Cliff Note versions.
So he's saying that because the distrust in the currencies of countries or federal banks, these companies are going to decide on a currency before they trade, and then use that particular currency for that particular trade. And the trade might be different. The type of coin that you use might be different depending on the two companies.
And as foods become more scarce, this is going to become crucial, because the exchange of foods and getting it where it needs to be is going to be a tremendous problem with the current state of affairs. And the cryptocurrency platform really does offer some things. So what happens, he says, the Cliff Note version, is letting Bitcoin futures run up to 70,000 on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It'll have the following results. The global war will be prevented. Civil unrest will be mitigated as food prices climb higher due to grand solar minimum. Losses in global agricultural output are going to happen, and this can help circumvent that. Maybe you want to do the next one?
Yeah, the next one is you'll refill those pension funds and these liabilities that are kind of going underwater because
planet-wide.
Planet-wide.
Right, exactly. And it's a backdoor way to institute universal income and a way to restart the consumer spending economy.
It's also a beginning to fixing poverty everywhere.
Because anyone who can invest in Bitcoin futures so the wealth effect spreads everywhere, because as Bitcoin skyrockets, everything else will follow, as in the stock market.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. Personally, I don't see this getting down to the personal level like you and I would be exchanging Bitcoins for.
Oh, I do.
Well, I know you do.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I don't. I see this with between large companies because
I think what he's saying, in like you do, you see the benefit of it with large corporations, but the people are seeing the benefit of it where you and I can exchange money like this without
of course,
an intermediary.
if the grid is down during a grand solar minimum, you're not going to have that.
Well, he's got some information that'll let you feel a little bit better. Yeah, he's got some information of how these things are going to be addressed. Again, we all need to be diversified in how we handle, how we hold our wealth and our trade and how we're going to trade. And I think it's really great that we have people that are tuned in on what's really going on that can help us, because we could start a global war, or we could set the bottom price of Bitcoin at, what is it today, 10,000 today, and open it up on the futures market, solving all of the liquidity and debt problems we now experience. It will take 10 times the current 10,000 price point to break even and backfill the current funding negative at debt to GDP, he says. So I think it'll be very interesting. I'm curious, what do you guys say in the chat room? Make sure you're joining us on Thursday. Listen to Dave Devine share with us what's going on to bridge the world between cryptocurrency and traditional financial trading. It might be something you want to take a real close look at.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.